$380,000 lost in a single week. This marks the worst losing streak of my trading career, and today we're going to break it down. I posted this in the free Telegram channel this morning. I'll put a link in the description in the pinned comment so you guys can follow all my live trades and analysis, all the win streaks, all the losing streaks. I have lost 380 grand in a single week. This is a weekly P&L screenshot of my trading history. The account was up to 1.1 million. I had tripled this account. And now we sit over the course of the past 10.5 months. I have only doubled the account. The account's gone from $350,000 deposit all the way up to 700,000 roughly equity. And that is counting fees and commissions and swaps. So that's all factored in as well. I'm still come out top, roughly double the account. So this is shit. I posted this in here. I said it's the worst losing streak of my trading career. I went from a huge growth to now only having double the account instead of tripling the account over the course of the past 10.5 months. And I'm going to break down all the exact trades. I even posted something here in my private Discord server for those of you who want to pause and read this. This is a time where true traders get tested as to whether or not they're going to remain calm, logical, and rational, or whether or not they're going to freak the fuck out and lose their mind and get upset because they had a losing streak. This happens. This is a part of trading. We have been on a ridiculous win streak for almost a year. Almost every single month has been profitable. We've consistently grown. Everything's been great, but losing streaks happen. And given the high risk that I take per trade, which is anywhere from 10 to 15%, in some cases 20% risk per trading opportunity at the max stop threshold, that just implies that you're going to have losses where you lose 30-40% of the account at some point. It's important not to put all of your trading capital into one account. That's why I don't do that. That's why I put a small portion of my Forex trading capital into an account and I grow that account. That way, if anything happens to that account and I take huge losses, I still have plenty of capital sidelined. It protects risk and everything is structured appropriately. If we're looking at a percentage risk of my total trading capital per trade in Forex, it's about anywhere from 0.5 to 1%, sometimes 1.5% of my trading capital risk per trade. I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that. You need to define what risk per trade looks like for you and then risk that amount per trade based on your risk tolerance and your preferences. So a couple things. I'm going to be getting short on NZD JPY here in a second, right after this video. CHF JPY currently remains short, and I just added to a position and adjusted the stop losses. We'll talk about that here in a second. Let's talk about the losses this week. So a couple. Let's begin with Euro USD. Euro USD was in this major weekly zone. I've since adjusted it and fine-tuned things a little bit more, but it was basically just this right here. Price had bounced as resistance, come back above, found support once, twice, you can see 2 or 3 times there. A 4th time we broke below, then we came back up and retested it, and I got short up here in this region. That didn't work out. Price broke above and hit the stop losses, and I risked $150,000 on this. I've had trades where I've made almost $200,000 over the past few months in single trading opportunities just because price ended up bouncing at major zones. This one did not. Price did not bounce right there. Okay, so I lost this set of trades. I lost the first one, I lost the second one when it broke above, and then this one right here when I took a sell. It broke further above this zone, and it resulted in a loss. So you can go through my full P&L as well in the Telegram channel. You can actually go and see all these losses. There's a couple more further up, but they're all on Euro USD. So that was that, Euro USD. The second loss we're going to cover here, and I want to point out, on Euro USD, there's nothing to learn here. There is literally nothing to learn. I traded exactly the same way I always would. I buy at support, I sell at resistance, I put a stop past the zone, I put a target at 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio. I try to get out of the losing trades a little bit earlier. With Euro USD, I had pretty high conviction it would work out, and I was wrong. I'm only right about half the time. The only way I make money in trading is because I make a little more when I happen to be right versus what I lose when I was wrong. I was wrong on Euro USD 2 or 3 times in a row. Let's call it 2.5 times in a row because some of those positions were basketed into a single position. So that was Euro USD. Let's look at CHF JPY. Is there anything to learn here? Sorry, from USD CHF. So price was here. We had bounced at this resistance zone once. We had bounced twice. We had broken above the zone, bounced to support a bunch of times. Very obvious, very clear support zone. Then price came back down into the support zone. So I bought right here. I had my stop loss just below the zone. Okay, so the entry was like around here. It was around these lows right here at the zone. When price broke below the zone, which happened in the same day, I cut this trade below the zone at a loss. And I lost, let's go actually and see how much I lost on this one. CHF JPY, where are we at? Sorry, not CHF JPY, USD CHF. Where are we at? So here it is, USD CHF. I lost $60,000. The risk on that trade was 100,000. So I lost 60% of the way to the stop loss. So it didn't hit the stop, right? It doesn't have the little red things on the left side like EU that hit the stop. but I lost on USD-CHF. Is there anything I'd change about this trade? Absolutely not. It was a good trade. It had a good risk structure. Everything all made sense. It's not something I regret. The fact of the matter is you're just going to lose trades whenever you are trading. You have to be able to get through the win streaks and the losing streaks. Just because you lose a trade does not mean you did something wrong. You can do every single thing right. You can do everything normally. The trading approach that has served you for a long time, in my case, almost a decade. It's been 8.5 years since I've been profitable. And even when taking trades, you can still be wrong and still lose the trade despite having done nothing wrong in your risk management, your entry, nothing. Like, you just have to accept the fact that you're just going to be wrong. That's really hard for a lot of people to rationalize, but that's what separates the less than 5% of profitable traders from the 90 to 95% of people losing money consistently. USD-CHF broke below the zone. I closed. I managed risk. It fit my risk tolerance and my risk preferences. There's nothing I would have changed on this. It's just a trade that didn't work out. Currently, I'm waiting for price to get back up into this zone to sell here at this resistance zone. I'll put a stop above and a target below at 1-to-1, and we'll see how this plays out. So currently I have an alert here at this zone. You can see it's just this line right here. Instead of putting the alerts, I've just drawn this little horizontal lines, as well as put the alerts on the lines. That way it just kind of does all in one. Instead of having a zone and an alert, I can just have the alert at the exact price I'm looking to enter at. Keep in mind, that's not the actual zone. The zone is something like this, right? It's a region. It's a whole area. Price is not perfect. It'll bounce at regions, not exact locations. That's why I don't use like super tiny microscopic stop losses. That's why I generally give it a little bit of room. So that was USD-CHF. The next one was GBP-JPY. This was a pretty cut and dry trade. I risked $50,000 on this trade. Price had bounced here as resistance once before, broke above, bounced as support, maybe again there a second time as support, right? Again, price is not perfect. Broke below, found resistance, and then bounced right there and came way down here. Then we came back up into this zone, and I sold there at the resistance zone. Here's what the zone actually looks like, right? It's this right here. Just a basic like support resistance zone where price kind of bounces around the region. Got to remember, price is not perfect. Sometimes it'll bounce before the zone. Sometimes it'll go deep below the zone. Sometimes it'll even leak above the zone or below the zone if you're buying at support. And it will still end up bouncing there at the zone. So we have to just still control risk and accept we're going to be wrong sometimes. This one broke above. I ended up closing it yesterday as price was breaking above the zone, and I took the loss. So that was $35,000 of loss that I took on GBP-JPY. You can see the actual entries right here. So 17 plus 16, that's about 35K. So I lost that. The final one that I lost this week, which hit the stop loss, was AUD-USD for $50,000 of loss last night. Last night alone, I lost like, how much did I think it was like 80K last night. Let's go and see. Here it is, $87,000. So just on these two trades. GJ closed early, and this last one, which was AUD-USD. What did I do on AUD-USD? What is it that I did here? Let's go ahead and have a look. So price was bouncing here at this resistance zone. Let's make the actual zone like this, right? So just keep in mind, that's what I'm referencing. That's the actual zone. This little line is just where the alert sits, right? It's just where the alert was and where I actually entered at. So I ended up selling here at the zone. I sold basically like right around here, around the highs. It might have been just a little bit below it, but you can actually go and check my exact entry and everything here in the Telegram channel. This was AUD-USD. So you can see this is the exact trade I took. This is exactly what it looked like whenever I entered it. It's just a sell at resistance with a stop above and a target below. Instead of risking 100K, I risked 50K because the account's down from 1.1 million to 700,000 right now. So I have to still structure risk and account for that. I can't be YOLOing into $200,000 or even $150,000 risk trades anymore. I can do 50 to maybe a max of like 75 to 100K now. So that's that. And then when the account grows back to over $1 million, then I'll start risking higher amounts again, like 100K, 125, 150K. I sold here. I put a stop above the zone, target below. This just didn't work out. Just broke above the zone, went and hit the stop loss. It is what it is. There's nothing really that I would have done differently. There's no way I would have structured the risk differently. I'm happy with the risk I took. I'm happy with the trade I took. It's just a trade that didn't work out. An interesting thing is when people lose multiple trades in a row, they start to question their system. But whenever you start to win multiple trades in a row, which by the way is just as likely, because if you're using 1-to-1 risk reward ratios, you're going to have roughly a 50% win rate. The only way you're profitable is by closing losses a little early and holding winners a little bit longer. So that way your average winner is a little more than your average loser. If you have a 50% win rate, that's a profitable trading approach. Nothing I would have done differently here. You have to recognize that whenever you win multiple trades in a row, it's not because you're doing something right. It is just because you're getting lucky. You're getting lucky that you're having a win streak. And then if you're losing multiple trades in a row, you're getting unlucky because you have a losing streak. Now, just because we're saying that this is luck here does not mean that there isn't skill involved. The only skill involved in trading is not predicting where price is going to go. It is structuring the risk in an intelligent, a cognitively intelligent way based on logic, rationality, statistics, and probabilities. If you're not doing that, you're going to get fucked. And you're going to get fucked so hard that you just stop trading and never trade again. And you think trading is bullshit and it's a scam and no one's able to be profitable. That's the kind of thought dialogue that's going to be going on inside your mind whenever you have a losing streak if you don't understand the statistics and the probabilities. The average is that, you may lose 2 or 3 trades in a row, then you may win 2 or 3 trades in a row, and then you may win, lose, break even, win, lose, break even, then you win 2 trades in a row, then you lose a trade. But every now and then you get clusters of win streaks where you just win every single trade for 2, 3, 4 weeks straight, right? I've been in this boat where I've had a month, I've taken 5 trades, all of them work out. They all result in some sort of profit, however small or however large, and I didn't take any losses or any break evens. There's other months like this month and weeks like this week where you just lose multiple trades in a row. Nothing needs to change. You don't have to do anything differently. It is just statistics. That's what's going to happen whenever you're trading or doing anything where you're placing a wager on an uncertain outcome. So in this case, AUD USD broke above the zone, hit the stop loss. Is it a big deal? No, of course it's not a big deal. What am I looking for now? I'm setting alert here at this zone right here. So I've just set it. You can see the alert is now set, and I'm waiting to sell there at that resistance zone. So I'll go ahead and post this in the free Telegram channel as well. We will put AUD USD in here because it's still looking to be ready here pretty soon. AUD USD will be ready soon. Okay, now let's look at the current trades for this week. Let's just go into next week because this is Friday. So probably after NZD/JPY, I probably won't be really taking any more trades for the week because market closes here in about 6 hours. So these will all be going into next week. All right, let's look at it. NZD/JPY is a great trading opportunity right now. She is at a major resistance zone right here. I have profited, I believe, twice on NZD/JPY, and I don't remember if I took this one in May. You guys can go back and you can check the history in the Telegram or Discord. I take quite a few trades. It's just impossible for me to remember the hundreds of trades I take over a year or 2 or 3 years. However, I did take this right here, and this one hit the profit target very easily. We didn't even have to hold for this whole drop here. It bounced here at this zone, and I believe I made $100,000 or more on this trade. I can't remember exactly, but again, you can confirm for yourself and all my data, my statistics, my metrics. I post every single thing timestamped in the Discord server. All you got to do is just scroll back through it. You can see literally everything here in the Mission FX Nix Trades Discord server. So with that said, I'm looking to do the same damn thing on NZD/JPY. And here's what's going to happen, okay? I'm going to sell here today. One of 2 things are going to happen. The first thing, it's probably not going to go sideways forever, right? It's probably going to go up or it's probably going to go down. That's what's likely to happen long term. It may not be in the same day, right? It may take a day or a couple days or a week or 2, but it's eventually probably just going to go up or down unless we see NZD/JPY range for the rest of our lives. Likely? I think not. So it's going to go up or down. So this trade is either going to break above the zone and I will lose, or it's going to bounce here at the zone and go down and I will win and I will make some money. How is my exact risk going to be structured? Let's go ahead and just get that all drawn up here in the chart right now so you can see. I'm going to put an entry here. I'm going to put a stop above the zone, above all the recent highs. So maybe something like this, just above all the recent highs. And then what I will be doing is I will be setting a target at a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. I'm actually going to show you a little risk structure that I'm going to have to fine tune and optimize and adjust here at the very end of the video. We're almost there. Just hang tight. Just give 2% of a shit. Try not to be a squirrel with an attention span that's super tiny. Just pay attention because this is very important right here. I'm going to be structuring the risk slightly different on this given the volatility of the JPY pairs and the USD pairs. We're having a lot of volatility, a lot of momentum moves right now. So I'm just going to account for that in my risk structure. What I'm likely going to do on this is just put a stop loss just above this zone, a little bit smaller, and then keep the profit target around the same level, right? So, and then instead of risking the usual amount of like $100,000 on this, I'll probably just be risking like 50K or maybe even 25K. I think I'll probably be risking 50K on this because that'll give me the same profit target I would usually make on a winning trade, which is 100 grand. But if I'm wrong and we break above the zone, I'll be able to get out quickly. A lot of the trades that have gone to stop loss, I haven't had time to get out because they happen so quick, right? So they're going all the way to the stops. I'm not able to close as early because a lot of these have happened over the course of London session when I am asleep. I'm not here staring at charts at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning. So I haven't really had time to manage it because of how quickly the moves have gone. This is basically like structuring a trade where the stop loss is up here and it's 100K risk versus just putting the stop down here, which is still, I mean, it's 50K risk, which is likely what the loss would be anyways if it broke above and I closed early, but the same profit target. It's a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio in this case. But then again, most of my trades, whenever you factor out all the statistics, they come somewhere within like a 1.8 to 2.2 risk reward, right? Because I'm making a little more when I happen to be right versus what I lose when I'm wrong. So it's the same basic thing. I'm just having the stop in place to automatically take me out in case we get another huge liquidity run. If that happens, I'll just look to get back in up here if we get up to that region and then start to bounce. I think this right here is the zone, though. I think this is the one that's most reliable. It's the area where prices bounced multiple times. And when we go a little bit lower, just on the 4 hour, you can see this is the main region, right? We had a nice bounce here to the pip in the past. We broke above, then broke back below, then found resistance a couple times, went down. We found resistance a couple times right here. We broke above, tried to bounce and continue up, failed, came back below, resistance, 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 a little liquidity spike above for resistance until we finally had that big drop. We were out on this. I entered here and it went up against me a little bit, but then it came down at a profit and we were able to get out in like $100,000 profit when that happened. In this case, I'm just going to be looking to trade based on this zone right here, just because this is the actual region where price has been bouncing for the most part, while still accounting for the fact that we could go up here to the highs. And if that's the case, I'll just simply re-enter. And I'll probably be doing the same at 50K risk. The trade will just look something like that instead if I lose this first trade. But I'll still make everything back in more, even if the first one doesn't work out, as long as we bounce there at this last zone. And maybe that might not even happen, but we're going to see exactly what ends up playing out because we'll be able to see it. So I'm just going to be watching price action after this video. I'm going to see if we start going really bullish so far, or if we start going really bullish and continuing up. I'll probably wait on this trade until next week. But as of right now, at this exact moment, I'm intending on just getting into this trade basically as soon as I get off this video. But we'll see. We need to see. I need to account for the context and price action. So we'll be looking at it here in a little bit. All right, the next one is CHFJPY, which I'm currently short on. Let's keep a reminder here. The zone is something like that, okay? The zone is not perfect. It is a region. It is not an exact price. However, when we go to the 4 hour, we can look and see that in the past here, prices bounced at this region exactly. It broke above, tried to find support right there, right? Tried to bounce, broke back below, found resistance. You can see how it's not perfect, right? Sometimes it bounces a little bit below, doesn't come all the way up into the zone. We came back in here. We had all of this little back and forth liquidity spikes right here. We broke below, found resistance, tried to break above, found resistance, broke above, then finally found support. That was great. We found support here a couple times with a little bit of wick leakage here in the 4 hours below, but still we bounced here at the support zone basically. And then we came back, bounced again at the support zone, a little bit of a liquidity spike below, still bounced, came back in here, bounced at this zone very quickly over here back in April of this year, came back again, bounced basically at the zone, not at the exact price, but in the same general region. We had a nice bounce. We broke below the zone. We had this huge liquidity spike where price smashed through, tried to go back above, failed to get above, and then still came back below. And now we currently sit up here at this resistance zone again. So with this, prices bounced here at resistance first, went a little bit above the zone last night. I was watching this as it came back to retest. We tried to go make a new high. We failed to make a new high. It made a slightly lower high there when we tried to like have that continuation to the upside. Instead, price ended up falling back below the zone, closed bearish on the 4 hour, which is a pretty good sign, right? I use weekly and daily mostly, but I'll glance at the 4 hour and I'll glance at the 1 hour from time to time. Not the 1 hour as much, mainly just the 4 hour, because this just breaks up the candles, right? A daily candle gets broken up into about 6 candles on the 4 hour instead of 1 hour on the daily. So you get a little bit more of a heads up, right? As long as you're contextualizing it, making sure you're using the major zones, the lower time frames really, not lower, but like the time frame that is lower than the weekly and daily, which is generally the 4 hours, the most traditional time frame used. It just gives you a little bit more data so that way you can kind of see the texture and the granularity of price on those time frames instead of just having to look at one weekly candle every single week, right? Because then you have one trading decision a week. There's nothing wrong with that, but you can usually manage trades a little bit better if you're contextualizing it and using kind of a multi-time frame approach, while everything is still based on the weekly and daily zone bounces, seeing what price is doing on time frames like the 4 hour, and in some cases the 1 hour, but not really so much. It's a little bit more reliable to look at the 4 hour. It's a perfectly acceptable way to manage risk and also manage your trades depending on what happens. So I've added to this trade right here CHF JPY. I'll show you exactly what I did here in the Discord server. We'll go all the way down to CHF JPY. Basically what I did is I took my original stop, which was a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio for a 50K profit target. That was that first 42, 43 lot position down here. You can see we bounced at the zone. I entered, broke above, tried to bounce, failed to make a new high, came back below. After we came back below, touched this zone, starts to reject right here. I ended up moving this stop loss, which again, remember, it was like up here. It was at 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. So it was higher up here to give it plenty of room. That was a 50K risk. I dragged it down here roughly halfway. So instead of 50K risk, it was 25K risk. And then I added this second position right here, which is the 57 lot trade you see right here. I added this position this morning, literally like 30 minutes ago. It was 9:28. 10:16. I lied. 45 minutes ago, I entered this. So it's basically like had the 80 trade hit stop. CHF JPY was just, the stop was tightened to just above the high for 25K risk. Then I added another sell right here, which is 25K risk. What does this mean for me? That means if both of these continue up above the zone, we break above the zone, we close above the zone, we continue higher, and I'm not able to get out early. Let's say this goes and hits the stop loss. That'll be a 50K risk. The profit target is 50K for the first position plus 78K for this next position. That's almost $130,000 of profit, right? What, 128,000, something like that. So if this wins, it'll be a nice little profit of about 130K. If it loses, I'll lose another 50K to the account. I can manage that. It gives me like at this current account, risking 50K average per trade, $700,000, right? This gives me 14 losing trades in a row at the full stop loss, risking $50,000 per trade before I would lose this account. And even if I lose the account, I'll just refund another one, right? I keep about, maybe I'd say how much? Maybe like 25% of my Forex trading capital in this account. And I keep a third of my capital, total trading capital, allocated to Forex. The rest is allocated and split between equities, which is US stocks, mostly the S&P 500, and then also to crypto trading. Well, not crypto trading, but crypto holding. So just buying and holding tokens in bear markets, selling off as prices run up in bull markets. And then I keep about 5 to 10% of my total trading capital sidelined as cash. So that way I can choose to disperse it into whichever asset class and asset category that I see is performing pretty well. And that way I can allocate trading decisions in that capital given what the trading opportunities are. So about 5 to 10% of cash sidelined, the rest of it in here. But only about a fourth of my capital is in Forex trading. And of that 1/4 of my trading capital, I only put 350K into an account, which for me is this relatively small percentage of my trading capital. And I'm perfectly happy with it. I could fund this account over and over and over again, and eventually I'll get a huge win streak and grow it again. Remember, this account got from 350K to 1.1 million. I made the decision to not withdraw it. I thought originally I decided like once the account got to 1 million, I was just going to withdraw there and then restart again with probably about 500K to protect some capital, lower the risk, do it all again. I didn't see a need to do that. I thought, I'm just going to keep it. I'm okay with the risk. And this is the result that it's got me. I've gotten into a drawdown and it is what it is. I accept my decisions. You have to be disciplined and you have to still be able to make rational decisions, even in the midst of bullshit losing streaks, because they're going to happen. And I statistically accept the probabilities. It is what it is. So that's on CHF JPY. Looks like that's starting to go into profit for now. I might try to add one more position if we start going and looking like we're going to knock out these lows. If we come and start knocking out these lows, I'll probably get into another position here and just drag the stops down, protect them at break even, and just cross my fingers and see if we get a nice winning trade. But on the trades that we win, they're always much, 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 much bigger. I say much, much, much. I put too many muches in there. They're always much bigger than the average losing trade. That is a fact. That's the only reason I'm profitable. It's just because I happen to make more when I'm right versus what I lose when I'm wrong. So that's on CHF JPY. For AUD USD going into next week, this will be a very simple trade. It'll just be a simple sell at resistance right here. Stop loss above the zone. I'm probably going to keep it something like that. This zone right here, right, that's the main region. The only time we had price break above was like these little wicks that popped above the zone. If that happens and price comes back down and closes, I can just get back in, because if that happens and you get stopped but it comes back down, you can just sell again. Then if it comes down, you end up making your profit. It broke above here, tested as support a couple times, then fell back below, found resistance 1, 2, 3 times. I think this is a perfectly reasonable zone to sell at, which is why I'll be looking to sell there. The stop loss will be above the zone. Target would be where I would generally place a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. So in this case, like, check it out. The normal risk would be something like that. That would be the risk structure, 1-to-1, closing it if it starts breaking above the zone. Just given the volatility, if we start breaking above the zone, I just want to be out instantly. I just want to get out. That way we don't get caught in another momentum run like Euro USD and the JPY pairs this week. So I'm comfortable with that, just provided that since the stop loss is twice as likely to hit because it's twice as close, right? I'm just gonna be risking half the normal amount that I would. So if I would normally risk like 100K in a trade like this, I'm only gonna be risking 50K. The stats work out to be about the same. It's just you'll take a little bit more stop outs if you have a positive risk reward. But then again, I mean, technically, if you just look at the factual side of it, my risk reward based on closed trades is, it's greater than 1. Like I think it's 1.7 to 1.8, perhaps to 1 to 2, maybe even 1 to 2.1 or 1 to 2.2, something like that. But it is greater than 1 to 1, and that's why I make money, even though I'm wrong literally half the time, and sometimes wrong half the time, multiple times in a row. It's okay. Shit happens. That's trading. These are basically all I see at this exact moment. We got NZD JPY, CHF JPY, AUD USD. As far as everything else, USD CHF, I already have this alert here sitting there at the zone. You can see the alerts there. I'll be looking to take USD CHF sells. So let me just go ahead and drag that up just a little bit. So USD CHF sells if we can get up there into the resistance zone. GJ, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do just because we could still technically be bouncing at this zone. So I'm just going to be waiting. If we can break back below this region, like come back below and then start retesting this as resistance. So something like this, right? Break back below, test as resistance, and then start to bounce. I'll look to get back into GBP JPY. Still think it's perfectly fine. We need to see if she has this little, like another blow off top headed to the upside, or if she falls back below and breaks. We won't know until it happens, so I'm not going to speculate. I'll just be saying if we do break back below and then pop back up and retest, I'll be looking to sell. I still think this is perfectly valid trade. If not, I'll be looking to get in either at that high right there or here at this resistance zone. We'll see. I'll keep you guys updated going into next week on GBP JPY. Euro USD, she's overdue for a pullback like at some point. We just don't know exactly when. I don't see any clear places to structure risk right now. If anything, you know, we could come back here. We need to watch and see what happens here at this little zone where price is at. I could see us bouncing here and continuing higher, which is another reason I'm not selling AUD USD right now. It's a correlated pair. I'm waiting for it to push up a little higher first to then look to get into a position and structure it. Okay, so that's your USD, JPY. I don't really see anything here. It's technically a zone, but it's kind of sloppy, so I'm just not going to be using that. AUD JPY, same story as NZD JPY. However, NZD JPY is already there at the zone, whereas AUD JPY is not quite, like it needs to go up a little bit further. I'm going to go ahead and throw an alert here on this zone right here. If price does go up there, that means NZD JPY is probably going to stop out. CHF JPY, we don't know. It's got the CHF in it, which does all sorts of shit. So we'll have to just pay attention and see what ends up happening. AUD JPY, though, in isolation, just looking at her, like it looks like a great trade. Right? It's just a simple sell at resistance. I cannot remember if I took this sell here in July. I cannot remember, but like I said, it's all on the Telegram. It's all documented. I post all my P&L here. I make recap videos every week of all my trades, and it would all be here in the Discord server. I'm not sure if it was AUD JPY because I believe it was NZD JPY. I believe that this is the one I know we took. I don't think I took AUD JPY because it's a correlated asset that was happening at the same time. So, but you know, in any case, I'll be looking to sell if we can get up there into that resistance zone. I'll go ahead and throw this in the free Telegram channel for you guys right here. We'll click copy link to the chart image. We'll go to Telegram, Control V, AUD JPY looks good soon with parentheses. All right, so that's AUD JPY. Going down the list to Euro GBP, I'm still waiting for her to come up a little bit further into this resistance zone. I don't see anything. I'll set an alert if we start getting closer. AUD CAD, sell at resistance. We're not close, so there's nothing to do. Euro JPY is an interesting one. However, I think that NZD JPY and CHF JPY are better opportunities at the moment, so I'm not going to be looking to take Euro JPY. This is technically a zone right here. We have price bounced 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not resistance, but we broke above and bounced to support 8 times. So we've broken past this zone like what? Once, twice, 3, and then 4. But we've bounced at this zone a lot more than we've broken past it. We did have a liquidity spike there, but the zone was created pretty nicely and pretty clearly going into the future. On the 4 hour, let's go ahead and throw this in here just to remind ourselves. That's the zone, right? So it's a range. This line is just the actual place where I would enter, right? Because I enter about halfway into the zones. So I've just put the line there to make it simple for just entries and calling trades out. That way I can quickly just kind of click through everything and glance at it. If we get up there to that zone, I'm going to look to see if we start to bounce. If we start to bounce and we start doing some shit like this where it starts turning over at the zone, it starts pulling away, it gets to the zone, tries to break past, starts to go back, I might look to sell. But then again, I just believe NZD-JPY and CHF-JPY are just better quality trading opportunities at the moment. CHF-JPY is going into more profit, so I might be looking to add to that after this video is done. So that's Euro-JPY. Might be looking to sell there at the zone. I'll watch what happens if we get there, but I'm not as interested in the other JPY pairs. I'm not interested in Euro-JPY as much as I'm interested in the other JPY pairs. GBP Canadian dollar is an interesting one. I still have yet to determine if I think this is the zone or if that is the zone. And I'll be like a Shark Tank person. I'll be like, for that reason, I'm out. I don't really see anything here. I'm just going to leave the area right here. The problem is it's just so sloppy, right? We broke above there and we broke above there. You know, what is the zone, right? If we drag it up here, now we have a spike past it, a spike below it, retest as resistance, spike above, kind of a bounce as support, a break below, and then we're headed to the downside. I just don't know. I don't see it as being super clear, so I'm just going to leave that one alone. GBP AUD looks like she's finally breaking below this zone. We had discussed earlier this week that we were making lower highs coming here into this zone. Generally, that's a sign that, you know, if price doesn't get into a zone and start bouncing immediately and sending it off to new higher highs, if that doesn't happen, generally what you see is price gets into a zone, starts hugging it, it's generally going to break below. The problem I saw with GBP AUD was the fact that we've just slashed through this so many times. It's just not as clear as trading a region like this on the chart, where price just bounces as resistance pretty cleanly every time. Generally speaking, those are the most of the trades that I look for. Something that's very clearly defined. We have it respected quite a bit. It'll break past a couple times here and there, but it'll always retest it and find relevance and bounce there. I didn't see that right here, so I elected to not take this trade. Like we technically it bounces resistance, somewhat here, somewhat here. I don't know. It just looked a little bit too sloppy for me. I still think we're going down, but I didn't have a clear way to structure risk. Because let's say I sell, where the hell am I going to put the stop loss? Let's say I sold up here. Where am I going to put the stop loss? Above these highs, above that zone there. If I'm going to put it all the way above that zone, I might as well just wait and then enter if we get up there and have the risk look something like this. So I didn't see anything on GBP AUD, which is why I'm leaving it alone. Euro NZD is here to support zone. While we are technically at a support zone, I am a little bit, let's just say, not inclined to take this trade just because we've bounced here already. And then we came back, tried to bounce again, but then we made these little lower highs, just barely, right? You can call that a lower high, or you can call it just a range, right? Where price like rejected around the previous highs. I think we're a little bit more likely to break below. This is all just an intuitive discretionary trading decision based on my subjective discernment of the price action. I could be wrong. We could just bounce immediately from here, and that would be hilarious. But I think we might be a little more likely to break below, especially given the fact that all the volatility lately has just caused price to be surging in all these different directions really fast. We'll need to see some type of a pause here before I look to get long. That's the 4 hour. We've got an indecision candle currently. This candle closes in an hour and a half. On the 1 hour, you know, we spiked up, but now we're headed back in. I don't know. I have a feeling this one is going to maybe break the zone. Just because I feel like it's going to break the zone doesn't mean I'm right any more than half the time. It just means from a risk structure perspective, it's not worth taking. I don't feel comfortable buying here, even though it's technically a super clear zone. And if I sell here, where the fuck do I put the stop? Above those highs, right? If I'm putting them all the way above the highs and I take profit down here at 1-to-1, better if I just wait for price to get there, sell, give it a little bit more room, and then I can just target the lows down here of the zone. That would be a better trading opportunity. So for this reason, looking like it's going to break below and all these lower highs getting created, for that reason, I'm out. I feel like a shark. For that reason, I'm out. So CAD JPY, we're in no man's land right now. I think the other JPY pairs just present better opportunities. I see nothing here. GBP NZD, I see nothing here. We've got a really sloppy zone that I don't think it's worth trading here. I don't think it's worth getting into. So I'm just going to leave that alone. GBP USD is coming up here to a resistance zone. However, I think that AUD USD is a little bit more clear. I like this a little bit more. The only time we really broke above this region was right there. We broke above, tried to make highs, failed, broke back below. Every other time we've come to this resistance zone, while still factoring in the little leakage and the wicks that went above the zone, we bounced pretty clearly here. GBP USD is just an interesting one. I really don't even know what I would rather do. Would I wait for that right there? It was resistance and then it bounced the support there for a second, failed, came back below. Would I just wait for that extreme high? I don't know. Then we've got shit like this where it's like bouncing lower here, right, at this resistance. So it's like, where the hell is the actual zone? I don't know. We know it's somewhere in here, right? We know that this region is an area where GU has bounced, a couple times in the past. We just don't know where. I don't want this to turn into a trade I have to sit in for a month, because if we go to the weekly chart, right, even on the last time it was here, we had a weekly candle go up. That's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before price would have gone to the profit target. We did have a nice spike down at a profit right there in 1 weekly candle. If you would have sold in this region, not that it would have been painted yet, but it was a previous high. So maybe if you sold to the previous high in here, that one would have worked out really quickly. Then we had this shit here where we get into the zone. That's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks before we really had to turn away from the zone, unless you got out on that one, in which case you still sat in the trade for 1, 2, 3 weeks. So maybe 2.5 to 3 weeks. I don't know. GBP USD, she's okay, but I don't see a clear enough exact area to enter. So it's probably something I'm just going to be kind of waiting on, see if we can get a little bit higher. And then if we can get a little bit higher, then I might consider entering it. So that is GBP USD. Going to Euro AUD, we're making lower highs and not lower lows, but we are making lower highs. This is a similar situation to GBP AUD, right? We discussed GBP AUD a second ago. We're going down for sure, right? Like that's very clear. We were looking on the daily, we're making lower highs, banging into the zone. It looks like it's going to get broken. Same thing on Euro AUD. I don't see a clear area to sell though, and a clear risk structure for putting the stop. I don't want to sell down here and then put a stop, some shit like that, because if I put a stop right there, right in the target down here, and let's say it looks something like that, price, it could go into profit and that would be great, but it could also just bounce here at these lows and then go make a lower high, hitting my stop and then continuing down. I just don't see it as a really responsible risk structure. And for that reason, I'm out. USD Canadian dollar, I don't see anything at the moment. We're sitting here in no man's land, waiting for one of these zones to get hit. Probably this support down here. I would probably buy here at this support. We'd have to see which direction the US dollar ends up going. NZD USD, I don't see anything for now unless we get to this resistance area. I think this resistance area is great. It's literally as perfect as a zone can be. We've got a nice resistance area here, and we only have one time where price really leaked past it here for a couple days back in July of last year. So a little over a year ago. We were up there, broke past it, tried to find support there with these little candles here in the daily. When we go to the 4 hour, you could probably see it a little bit more clearly how price came. It broke above the zone, bounced right there, made a lower high, came back below, started retesting and making lower highs in here before finally all this sell pressure ended up coming into the market, and then we sold off. So aside from that little one spike above the zone, we've bounced pretty cleanly like multiple times here in the past. I think that would be a great trading opportunity for NZD USD. It's just probably going to take a while for us to get there. This is a 4 hour chart. This is a daily. This is a weekly chart. We'd have to really give it a little bit of run here, and we have to get past this little zone here as well on the daily. So I don't see anything at this exact moment, but very soon here, if we get up here to these highs, I think that'd be a really nice trade. Euro Canadian dollar, the last one, I see absolutely nothing. I don't really see a clear support zone. I tried experimenting with this one down here. I just don't like to pass that. Every single time we've wicked above this zone, we bounced right there. Then we went and spent like 2 weeks below this zone. It is technically still a region where prices bounced, right? It's just, it gets kind of hairy because you start wondering, okay, if we went all the way up into here, maybe this is the resistance zone. So now you're having to exclude that data right there, and you're using these wicks. Now you're having to account for the fact that we've dipped below the zone there and then below here. It's just not super clear, right? So I just don't like it. I do like this resistance zone up here. The problem is like, I was wondering, right, when I was drawing this, is it this right here or is it a little bit higher up here? If I was going to be safe, I'd probably say this is the more reliable place to enter, right? Somewhere up there. But even then, we have to deal with the fact that there was this liquidity spike above the zone, which is not super bad, right? It's just one time. It just broke above the zone. It was up there for 2 days, like that daily candle and the second daily candle, and then we ended up falling. So that's okay, but I don't know. I think there's better trading opportunities out there elsewhere. Crypto has just been ripping. This is amazing. Just in the past couple days alone, Solana from the bull run earlier this week, we're up 20%. Bitcoin is up, I think, how much? 20% as well, which is wild for Bitcoin. 20%. That's great. Not even the altcoins are able to go that much. If we're looking into things, let's see what XRP did. What did XRP do? Ripple. How much did we go up from this bull run 3 days ago? 40%. That is wild. That is so wild. Crypto gets super, super crazy during the bull runs. I'm not quite sure I would say that we are in a bull run at this exact moment. I would say this is bullish price action. This is incredibly bullish price action. But when we look at the weekly charts on a lot of these assets, this is Algorand, a token that I've made so much money on this one in the past, especially at the end of 2024 when Trump got elected. This shot up. I was able to get not 300%. I got like a triple out of it. So roughly 300%, not 350, not 400, but about like close to a 3x on it, which was, it was insane. That was just so crazy. So 3x is about 200%. So probably something like that. I captured a lot of this movement and then I sold. Then we came back in. I bought a little more. Then we started going down. I sold it for a small loss. I still ended up coming out on top. Algorand, I made so much money last year on it. Solana, I made so much money last year on her when she was going up. If y'all remember, you can go back into the Telegram channel last year around this time. Was it around this time? Yeah, about a little over 1 year ago, July. We're in August now, getting into the last part of August. So a little over a year ago, I bought here around 160. Price had a nice move up. It went all the way up to 240. I made a lot of money on this because I had a lot of capital behind this. I made almost 2 million last year just from crypto alone, like 1.9 million. And then whenever we started coming back, I ended up starting positions here around 175, 180. So we'll just say 180 when price had crashed into here September and October. Then we had this big crash here in October. So then I added more down here after we had started crashing more around 140. It was right around 140, and then I added more at 120 whenever we came down here to 120. The last parts that I added was around here in this range. I don't know my average price here in this range, but it was somewhere down here. Let's just be conservative and say it was further higher up. Basically, my average price across all positions was about 138. So 138 was right here. So if we can get back up into there, I'm break even on everything from last year. But I gave back basically half of what I made last year in crypto because we had started to pull back. So where am I going to be looking to maybe add more into Solana? I don't have much cash sideline because I'm already in. I have like a couple percentage points of cash sideline for Solana to get back in. There's a couple places. The first one I think is the lowest risk would be down here at these lows. So that's going to be probably the area that I look to kind of like get into in a little bit more of a position. Again, I don't really have much, so it's not gonna make a big difference in the grand scheme of things. I'm gonna set an alert right there. The second region is up here around this, just above the 80 mark. So like 81, 82. If we can go into there and start bouncing, I might look to get in, but I think it'd be a little bit more reliable and responsible just to wait for this down here if I'm gonna be adding, because I'm already in quite a heavy position. Are we going to keep going up or are we going to fall? I don't know. If Solana falls from here, it would be another 14%, which is really not that big of a deal for Solana to fall. We may find resistance here with a bunch of people taking profits. We may come all the way back down here to the lows. I will be watching like a hawk on Solana. I'm not interested in getting into Bitcoin just because the percentage gains are not as big. I watch Bitcoin because I want to make sure that I know what the crypto market is doing, and Bitcoin kind of sets the tone for the pace. But everything for everything that is not Bitcoin and Ethereum, so Solana and all the other ecosystems after that, Binance, which is BNB Coin, and then also like, a little favorite, Algorand. I know it's 50 down the list of coin market cap capitalization, but I still like Algorand a lot. I like the technology and the speed of the network. These are all just bullshit ways to say during the next bull run, everything else except for Bitcoin is going to outperform, right? So all these other small cap tokens are going to outperform Bitcoin. And when I say small cap, Solana's got billions, right? Tens of billions of market cap. It's just, if we get back to these highs, not even to the extreme high up here, let's just say like 260, right? So 260-ish. Just from current prices, right, up to 260, that's 182%. If Bitcoin just gets back to the all-time highs, and this is the all-time high, that's 60%, right? So we could get a 60% gain on that versus Solana, which is probably going to run if Bitcoin does back to 260, 180%. So that's roughly triple, right? 6 times 3 is 18. So 60 times 3 is 180%. So basically triple instead of 60%. So it's triple the amount of what Bitcoin would likely do if we get back to the all-time high on Bitcoin, and that's on Solana. If we just get back to this little recent high here, if we can go all the way back to 300, which I think at some point we're going to do, right? I just don't know exactly where. That's 225%. That's a triple. That's a 3x on Solana. While Bitcoin get back to the high from here, it's like 60%, which is still fine. Bitcoin's the more safer one. You're just not going to make as much, and you're really leaving a lot of money on the table if you just have Bitcoin. I know there's no replacement, right? There's no alternative. There's no substitute for Bitcoin. Sure, you guys can have that whole narrative. I'm not here to say I believe in the networks and I believe in crypto and all this stuff and it's going to be the future. I'm just here to say I want to make money from it and I want to profit from the outcome. And we do know that when Bitcoin runs, statistically, all the other altcoins, especially the top 10 in market capitalization after Bitcoin and Ethereum, those run as well, and they run at higher percentage gains than Bitcoin. That's why mainly I've sat in like Solana, a little bit of Ethereum, things like that. But most of my position holdings are just Solana right now. Very, very happy with this huge move right here. This has really offset a lot of the losses I've had from Forex trading this past week, this 380K week in Forex trading. So I've almost made all that back from Solana running up. But I don't know, we'll see exactly where we end up going. I'm just waiting for this to pull back down so I can like start adding a little bit more and then increase my cost basis average and maybe make a couple extra $100,000 if I'm able to add and those go into profit. So that is all my comprehensive complete analysis for this week. If we look here at NZDJPY at the moment, she looks like she's bouncing here at this support. So I have changed my mind. I am not going to be entering that at the moment. I will be waiting for us to maybe fail here. It looks like it's about to break, so I don't think that'll happen. But if we do some shit like this and then we start ranging and come back around, break below and retest, I'll maybe look to get short on that. For now, CHF JPY looks like the most reliable. We just need to knock out this little low right here, perhaps these set of lows, then we can be off to the races to the downside. We don't know if that'll happen. We can't say when it happens because we don't know what'll happen. Nobody knows what the fuck will happen, but I'll be looking for that on CHF JPY to continue sitting in my positions. AUDUSD looks like we might be setting up here pretty shortly. I don't know if I will take this today. We'll have to see what price action does. If we get there and we start bouncing pretty quickly and effortlessly with like maybe a big rejection wick on the 4 hour, that's unlikely. We've got this 4 hour candle and then we've got the next 4 hour candle that'll close for the market today. That's only 2 more candles. This one and then plus whatever the next one is. We'll have to see, but maybe probably as long as AUDUSD gets in this zone, most likely I'll be getting into this next week, but that could change. So, just like NZDJPY changed, I was going to enter this, looked at the price action, decided not to. It's okay to use context whenever you're trading. It's okay to use 2% of your brain, not be a complete dumbass and just blindly enter. It's okay for you to kind of like conceptualize things in your brain, use your experience, use your intuition, discretion as a result of watching the same shit happen over and over and over thousands of times for the course of the past decade in my experience. It's okay to use your brain and then decide based on the context whether or not a trade is appropriate to take, whether or not it's better to not take it, whether it's better to take it but just with slightly lower risk, or whether or not it's better to like get into a trade and then see if you can start adding to it if it starts moving into profit. These are all dynamic decisions. They're all fluid. They're all based on the context. That is why I post all my results and analysis and everything live in Telegram. And that is why I call all my exact trades with the exact entries, the exact stops, targets, and everything here in the Discord server. And it's crazy because even with this losing streak, I still sit in profit on an account that has doubled over the course of the last 10.5 months. And I've done it live and called every single trade. And it was just impressive. I was able to even get it to $1 million to begin with. 350K to 1.1 million at the high watermark. It was slightly higher than that. I had tripled that account in less than a year, which is fucking crazy impressive. You know what's still impressive? Having doubled the account after fees and commissions. And I had about $250,000 in fees and commissions so far, which is like 240K in fees and commissions. After all that's accounted for, I have still doubled the account over the course of a little less than a year. I don't know. If that's not impressive, I don't know what is. I'd be cool with getting like a 20% return per year on capital. I do a little bit more than that once you factor in crypto and stocks, and it's not every year, but it averages out to that whenever we have good runs in the stock market and we have good runs in the crypto market, and I have a good year trading Forex. So I'm happy with these returns. I'm happy I've still doubled the account, even with this crazy win streak after fees and commissions over the course of the past 10.5 months, and I'm still going full steam ahead. Zero loss of enthusiasm, maintaining rationality and logic, good risk management practices. Everything's coming together. I love making these videos for you guys. I'm happy you guys have got to see this. I'm happy you guys got to see all the logic and the context behind it. If you made it all here to the end of the video, go leave a comment below. You can hit the like button if you want. You don't have to, but if you want, hit the like button. It helps the channel. And then leave a comment below and put 3, 2, 1 somewhere in your comment. And if I see you do that, I will know that you made it to the end of the video, and I will tip my hat in respect. I will take off my hat in respect. I'll take off my glasses in respect. But I can't see you, so I'll have to put the glasses back on. I will take my hat off in respect, and I will respond to your comment in the first day or two. So if you want to ask me a question, or you made it to the end of the video, just put 3, 2, 1 somewhere in a comment, and just leave a comment, and I'll see those that have the numbers 3, 2, 1 creatively put somewhere inside your comment, and then I'll know you made it here to the end of the video. So I'm going to start doing this more too, because we used to do this last year. For those of you that make it to the end of the video, you get a little bit of extra love from me. Go and show you some love there in the comments. So thank you guys so much for all the support on the recent videos and the recent trades. I love doing this. I love being able to share my trades. I love being able to share everything I've learned over the course of the past nearly a decade trading. It's been over a decade now. Yeah, March of 2016. So it's been 10.5 years almost. I love doing this. I love trading. I love running my business, and I love coaching you guys. I love making educational content. I love every single one of you following me. Thank you so much for everything. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.